Alright, hello guys, Trench Forge Armory, and today we are making yucca baskets using raw yucca. This is about what we're going to be weaving today. These are baskets. They've been made by people in the Southwest who have access to yucca for thousands of years. It's in a process which is called coil basketry, where there's a coil thread that's looping all the coils together, and it spirals out and then up. And today we're going to be making one of these. Basket weaving. When you're choosing yucca for a basket, there are two types of material. There's a filler material, which makes up the coil, and then there's a needle material, which goes in and out through the coil and binds the whole thing together. Filler material doesn't matter. What you're really looking at is the tip. If the tip feels softish, like this one does, and doesn't want to hold up, then that's filler material. You're cutting individual branches or individual leaves, and you're looking for the best needle material. And I've got 4 yucca plants to draw from, so I'm not going to deplete this one too badly. So if you're weaving a basket, it takes a long time. And if you're only weaving it very sporadically, don't harvest too much yucca, because as it ages, it turns kind of this like gross, just badness. So if you can avoid it, try not to harvest too much yucca and have it go to waste like this piece did. Harvest just enough, and you can always get more. Alright, so let's actually start basket weaving. You'll need a couple of tools. Here's here's an awl that I made in a video. It's the How to Forge an Awl video. And this is the awl from that, and this is kind of a much bigger awl. This is another type of awl that I've made. It's spun on a belt sander. So you chuck the brass into a drill and you spin it. And this is for much finer basket weaving, just because of how small that tip is in comparison. So in order to start weaving a basket and to start creating your coil like this one here, you've got to tie an overhand knot of 2 lines together. And one of those lines is going to be a filler thread, a line of filler, and the other one is going to be a line of needle thread. So in order to split off yucca, you just kind of peel it apart, split it down. So there's no needle on this side, so I'm going to split off another piece. And I'm going to split it off from the other side so I can kind of reduce down until I get that needle that I want. I have the needle thread here, and as you can see, it gets kind of thick down in this section. And in order to combat that, you can kind of just flatten it out and taper it off. So get yourself a knife and just kind of slice along just a very small amount off until it's about the thickness of the average. Then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to tie an overhand knot, tie the 2 pieces in an overhand knot about in the middle together. Alright, so that's one half. I'm going to do the other side. And make this knot very flat. Make it as flat as you can. Just tighten everything down. Then you're going to want to take your awl. I'm going to use my bigger awl, and you're going to want to punch right through it. So go right through it. Everything that's not your needle, which is this piece, is going to become your filler. And so what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to start making that coil. And you're going to want to take your needle thread, and you're going to want to go through the spot where you where you poked the hole. Through this. Just tighten them down around it. Tighten this. Boom, there you go. Now you've almost started the basket, and your goal is to just keep interlocking it until you have an entire row. And once you have an entire row, then you can start linking it into the other thread. So just that process again. Tighten this down. So I'm over here now, and I'm gonna tighten. I'm gonna run this through right there. And so this is the distinction between the needle thread and the non-needle thread. The needle thread has that sharper tip, which allows it to penetrate through the yucca, and it's more easily controlled. And just tighten that down, and just keep doing that. So now I'm going to do the next stitch. So I'm going to run this piece of yucca back in and through the hole that I have. Pull that through. Make the next coil. Tighten it down. And we're going to do that all the way around until you reach all the way around. Punch through, go around the filler threads, run that through the hole, and tighten. So as you can see, it's starting to look very similar to this piece here. So now instead of entering through the middle again, you're gonna want to go through the previous coil. And the same thing applies on this side. So as you can see, this stitch here kind of links this coil to this coil, just going around and around and around and in that. So same thing applies in this stance here. When you're starting a basket, you're going to want to poke a hole into the coil, and then you're going to want to take your thread, you're going to want to run it through the hole you poked. Running it through the hole you poked, like so. So now instead of having this filler thread go, or this needle thread go into the middle again, now you've had it gone into the second coil, and you're just going to want to continue doing that. So in this case, I'm going to poke the next hole here in the filler thread. There's my little hole. Take my needle, run it through, boom, pull it on through, tighten everything down, like so. There you go, boom. Next one, next one, next one. I've run out of needle thread. My needle is too small. The way that I'm going to be telling you how to do is a splice. So what you're going to do is you're going to want to take another one of your needle stalks, split off until you get a needle. You're going to want to take this needle thread, and you're going to run it through the same hole this one did. So we're just going to poke it right on through, and I'm going to widen it with my awl, my smaller one. You see the hole? We're going to poke this through, and we're going to pull it almost all the way through. So we still have this end. You're going to take your previous needle thread, and you're going to put it into your filler threads, and you're going to take the base of your needle thread and put it into the meat of your filler as well. Continue weaving your basket. So you're going to poke a hole right in there, in through the hole, and be cognizant of where this thread is and this thread is, because those are the ones you got to envelop. The first stitch is the hardest on those, just because you've got to keep track of them. Tighten her down, call it a day. Do the next stitch. Let's say you have the same thing with your filler threads. You're kind of running out, you don't want your coil to die. Pretty much the same thing. You're going to want to take the material you want to splice in. So in this case, I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to fold it over. And then I'm going to stick it in between two of these longer fibers. And I'm just gonna basically just stick it in there, not very far, just stick it in. And I'm gonna poke the next hole. So the hole's been poked, I'm gonna run this through. Basically what that's doing is that's tacking this piece in place. So I'm gonna take, again, this is the line I want to splice in. I've got my stitches prepared. I'm gonna take this and I'm just gonna put it in where that stitch is gonna clamp down on it. So it's right in there. I'm gonna put it in there so that the stitch clamps down on it. Clamp it down. And there you go. Now that's not gonna come out for at least the next stitch. So again, I'm gonna poke the next hole and do the same exact thing. Another thing I want to mention is that you can do really cool things with the patterning on these on where you actually poke the hole or run the stitch. I'm poking the hole right here and not in through this thread. And you can create a really super cool pattern if you poke through that thread, and that looks really interesting. It's kind of like one leading to the next, leading to the next, leading to the next, so on and so forth. If you're just beginning basket weaving, don't worry about what it's going to look like yet, because just get the basket woven and then take steps from there. Coil size, also you want to try to keep that consistent, because if there's a big huge lump in your basket, that's a big pain. Like I guess there's one right in here. Big lump, and it throws everything off just a little bit. All right, so let's say you're done. You're done making your flat disc, and you want to actually start making a basket, like one of these. So there's a flat disc on the bottom, and it curves into this into a wall. How is that done? So what you do is you make a hole this way. So basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a very, very, very slight angle. That's the angle I'm working with here. So this will be moved up just a little bit. That's just ever so slightly beginning to elevate that. Just that little bit of coil just being elevated just a little. Like you could do a much quicker, much more aggressive raise as I did on this basket, where it's like this very right angle. Just you poke 45 degrees, then you poke 90 degrees right in. And that'll raise it and then return it to flat. You just keep weaving, and in this case, you go the next rung will be like right in there, and right in there, and right there, or something like this where the angle is like this, and you maintain that. You've woven your basket. You got it where you want to be, where you want it to be. It feels good to you, and it looks good. So at about this stage, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to start tapering off the coil into the basket. So on this one, you can't really see where it stops and starts, but I can tell you it starts right here. And this coil here, there's like a third coil. There's a second coil here that's different from this one, but it just blends right back in. So in this case, what I'm going to do is, because these are a little bit long, I'm going to find some scissors, and I'm just going to trim everything at an angle. Very steep angle, mind you. And then you're just going to want to finish it. Like so. So at this point, you're pretty much done. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to trim these fibers. There you go. And you're going to want to tuck your needle thread, back into the piece. And so your goal is just to tuck everything in and away. And there you go. There's your finished basket. Ready to store random stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed making a basket from yucca from scratch. To get a finish that's more like this one, it's just age. That's all it is. So I wove this basket about a week ago, and this one about a year ago. Alright, thanks for watching.